So welcome to the Lit on podcast. Wow, Lit on Purpose podcast. Um, my name's Mike, and I have with me a good friend, Jenna.
Hey.
Yeah. So Jenna, we were just let's kind of get into it. Um, First off, like how. All right, let's reel this back. I'm glad this is a draft, but hey. Um, all right, so the way that I envisioned this, right? So,
Yes.
okay. Last time we met, we were at the where were we? We were at the
Freedom night.
Freedom Night. That's what it was. Um, what did you think of that?
Ooh, you want the truth?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. First of all, their music was amazing. Like, I was there with Issa, and we were just sitting there, and I was like, oh my goodness, these people could win The Voice, American Idol, any of that. Like, we were not used to that kind of service. But like
Mhm.
I came in kind of with a preconceived notion, like, okay, I know this is way different than my church, so I'm gonna be open to things. I don't want to like judge anybody just because of stylistic things, but like, let's see what God's doing in this place. And so I was like, okay, this is really nice. I'm not one to be jumping up and down and doing all that during worship, but I enjoyed the music. Like I wasn't doing all that performancey stuff, but it was great. But then they started the sermon. So I was like, okay, like, let's see what this is like. And at first, like, it was late too. And to be fair, like, me and her are both teachers. So it had been a long week. We were tired.
Mhm.
Like, so, but we were just ready to, like, just learn more about God, be filled with the Spirit. So here we are. And the sermon is starting. And at first, they're like, okay, it's going to be about prayer. We read the passage. That was fine. Then they get to the part where they're like, okay, now passing out these cards, everybody write down a prayer request. We've seen God move in big ways when we've done this. And then they brought the lady onto the stage who had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And then she had been cured. And we were like, wow, amazing. And so we're writing down our requests. Then, before they let us go down to the stage, they had said something about, like, okay, but before we do that, before you can put it onto the altar, we just want to talk about how you should sow your seed. And, like, I understand that giving is a important biblical principle. And,
Mhm.
like, we were talking about giving sacrificially. And I think that you've seen that many times in the Bible, like, where people were called to give sacrificially. But what I didn't like was how they did it kind of, it just made it seem like if you want your prayer to come true, like give some money, like pay some
Mhm.
money and God will move on your behalf. Like kind of like reaping what you sow. Like if you give this money, he will honor you. Like no, God doesn't need you to do that. Like if you feel called to give, sure, like you should be a cheerful giver. That's what the Bible says. And
Mhm.
like I don't know. So that kind of made me feel a certain way. So my friend didn't want to go put her thing on the stage. So I'm like, I'll bring them both, whatever. So we brought the stuff to the stage. Then after that, like, okay, we were already feeling like, oh, that's a little interesting, but whatever. So then he continues going on talking about prayer. And at a certain point, she was like, okay, if you want to go, we can go. And I was like, oh no, I want to like see it through. I want to stick this through, like give them a chance because there was little things here or there that I was like, huh, I don't know, like how I feel about that, but it wasn't anything like blasphemous, whatever. But then there was another part where he was talking about like we are not begging God for things. Like basically we're just like not demanding, but yes, like commanding what we deserve or something. And I was just like, oh, we deserve wrath. Like we deserve hell. We don't deserve anything. Like I don't
Mhm.
know. And I understand what he was saying that like when you pray, that is spiritual warfare. And so you are like stopping things from God, but like the way he was talking about like pulling blessings down and stuff like that, it's like makes people feel like I don't know, like there's an earning sense about it.
Mm,
Like I don't think it's something performance based. There's people who love God and faithfully have prayed for situations for years and it hasn't changed. And does that mean that they just didn't have enough faith? No, I don't think so.
mm,
So I just was a little like, okay. But again, I think like this church had amazing worship, and I don't think that these pastors are trying to like, they're not malicious. Like, I would say right now, based on social media, what I've seen, Christianity in a sense is trending. But I don't know if it's actually or if it's like lukewarm Christianity is trending.
mm.
And so I don't think like, oh, this church, yeah, they're just trying to like prey on that and set up a business model. No, 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 no. I just think like they probably do want to see revival in our city, but just a little bit like out of context some of the things they said. And I was looking around at the church and I was like, this is nice, but like it's pretty young. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with attracting young people, but I feel like you need older saints in the church to like disciple you. Like they've
Mm.
been through it longer. And so I was telling my friend, like, we were debriefing in the car. We did leave early because we were just mad tired and like, I don't know. And so we were critiquing things, but also saying what we liked. But it's like, okay, I'm not condemning them, but I would genuinely want to ask them questions like, what was your heart behind saying this? Or like, um, yeah, because I'm just
Mm.
curious about why they did things the way they did.
That's a interesting take, and very, very, yeah, gives some sheds some light. For me,
Do you disagree?
no,
That's okay.
no. I mean, that makes sense, and like, when you point it out, I'm like, huh, that is kind of because I did not see it.
Okay, so you stayed the whole time. What was your experience?
Well, my experience there was like it was interesting because when I showed up this time around, it's like I saw people from different chapters of my season, and it was just like a culmination of like, all right, something's about to end, and you're stepping into something new.
Transition. Okay.
So I felt like one I was supposed to be there, and like it was, I guess, a marker moment. I don't know if you call that. For me,
Okay.
um,
Was there anything about the service that like impacted you the most, or like you had a big takeaway?
the importance of prayer, the way that he did outline it, I was like, okay, that makes sense because I know I've sat through sermons and whatnot, um, and listened on or not listen, not study. I've grown up learning about prayer and reading books about prayer, and just like actually, I mean, you can do that, but like actually praying is how you get better, right? And so, um, always looking. uh, How do I say this? I've been always, I guess, studying and practicing, and just like I want to get better at prayer. So like hearing this
Okay.
was a nice, um, um, I don't know. It was just, I guess it was refreshing in one sense. I did notice that like when I was listening to it, he started off with the gospel message, talking about like how we started, you know, as we were meant to be in communion with God, and then like but sin kept us away. And then we talked about Jesus being the bridge between us and God.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, we go on the right path. And then he did turn a little bit and then focus on the prayer.
Yes.
I did notice that. And I was like, huh, this is different. I didn't know what to think of it though.
I don't think it was necessarily bad, but it's like I feel like he didn't complete the gospel because if somebody had never heard about like Jesus and what he did before, it's like he said Jesus was a bridge a lot, but it's like what does that actually mean? And like how do you accept him? I feel like that wasn't explained. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it was bad. It's just I feel like there's something left out.
Mm, yeah. So speaking of bridges, let's see if we can bridge this conversation. um. So, what was your experience with like coming to Christ? How did you find that bridge? Is it
Mm.
like?
But no. Yeah, I'll definitely talk about that. I feel like my coming to Christ isn't that exciting, but maybe more about like how he's grown me. But yeah, so let's start at the beginning. When I was born, obviously you have two parents and stuff, but my parents divorced when I was one. So
Mm,
um I grew up going from house to house, like they had 50-50 custody. So I would go to my mom's one week, my dad's one week. My dad did go to church when I was little. Like he was involved, I guess for a brief time, he was like in the worship team because he plays guitar, but he did go to church for a bit, but I don't really know when he stopped. Probably when I was like, I feel like maybe 6, something like that. Like, so at dad's house, we didn't really go to church that much. My mom, though, she would go. And um, yeah, so I grew up just hearing the gospel. And like as a little kid listening, it's like it seems like a pretty clear choice. Like, okay, either you're gonna follow your own way and go to hell, or you accept Jesus and like you'll go to heaven. And so I
mm-hmm.
know that might be a simplistic view of it, but like to me, I was like, that's a pretty easy choice right there. And so I don't really know the exact age I was when I got saved because I heard that growing up, and I'm like, yes, like I want to be with Jesus. And so to me, it was a simple thing. So that kind of makes me think of like the childlike faith in the Bible. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean I was how I am today because of that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like if you like think about it, like there's some people whose parents like were doing home Bible studies with them and all this stuff, like they have family prayer time. Like I didn't have any of that. Like so yeah, so with my mom we went to church and then on and off at a certain point, because we went to this, yeah, we had a church, then it shut down, I think, but we had started going to another one for a little bit after that. And she really found community, but I didn't really have any friends my age. Like her friends were nice, but I didn't really have friends. So I would go to the adult like service, even though they had a kids time. And I was like, no, like I like this. And so I would listen to the normal service until she made me go when I was like in 6th grade, but that's like the oldest grade you can be. So I went, I liked it, and then it was like, oh, well, now you have to go back anyways. Uh, and so then something crazy happened with a friend that had gone to the church, and basically my mom did not feel comfortable going there anymore. And so we just stopped going to church for a while. And then my best friend at the time, her family started going to my current church, and so they invited us. So I started going there when I was 14. It was basically the summer before high school. And that is kind of what helped accelerate my faith because I had known the basic Bible stories and stuff like that. But like it wasn't until I came to this church where I even thought about memorizing scripture. Like, why would I do that? And then here, that was just something that was normal, and they talked about the importance of like really knowing his word, and just the community. Like, I did not have that at these other churches. Like, I had people my own age who were like really interested in following about God and in serving in the church in many different ways. So, like, yeah, when I was 14, there was this thing called Awana at our church. It's at a lot of churches, but it's like I don't know, a youth group, and they have like games for the kids, and they have a lesson time and a time to study verses, all this. And they really have programs from pre-K all the way through high school. And so our church had it, but the teens would be later on in the night. And so my mom signed up me and my two sisters, and I was like, I don't want to go. And she was like, oh, but your best friend will be there. I'm like, so I can see her any other time. And she was like, no, you're going. And so we went, and as soon as I was there, and like it was the younger kids' time first, They were like, okay, go ahead, go help with them. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I did like kids. And so, like, from the jump, they included you in things. And, like, oh my goodness, my mom grew to not to regret. She loved us being involved in that. But, like, I loved it. And so, like, if there was ever a night where she was like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to go this Friday, I'm like, no, we have to go. Like, what are you talking about? Um, so the community really helped me grow, like, because I was always a smart kid, you know, at
Mm-hmm.
school, I would get good grades and whatever. But then there was like a teen Sunday school. So before the service, like, we would meet in this room and we would do different things. And one time they did this Bible trivia. We would do this occasionally. And I felt so stupid the first time they did it because it wasn't like the basic stories, it was like obscure references. And it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like all these other kids knew and I didn't. So I was like, shoot, like I need to study more. And like even through this church, like I know that's silly, like as in a competition, but it shouldn't be, but it really did grow me because then they also for this Awana program, they had this camp that you could go to if you finished these books. Like you still had to pay and stuff, but like if you finished these books that they had, you were allowed to go to this camp. And I was like, oh, it sounded really fun from what my friends told me. And so I went to the summer camp and it was like the best time ever. And they really talked about living out your faith there. And they challenged us, even though we were just teenagers, like they really talked about like, I don't know, being a light and not waiting till you're older. So yeah.
Mm. Do you remember one of the like or some of the lessons that you learned from that?
Oh my goodness. From the camp or just in
Oh
general?
no, just like the idea of like being a light and like living that out.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, oh, let's see. I think some things I already was like made up in my mind about, so it wasn't a challenge. Like, like you shouldn't do things to fit in with the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was never the kid who was like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and do some drugs and be drinking and all this stuff. Like, no, that never attracted me. I was like, you guys are so stupid. Like, you're gonna wreck your body for what? Like, so it's nothing like that, but it's more so like being unashamed of speaking about God. I don't think I was ashamed. It was more like I was afraid of like I don't know how people might react, I guess, with certain things like for example, like in our high school, there is some very like I don't know, I just feel like it was like very liberal views. And, I'm not politically inclined either way. Like I'm an independent, but I follow the Bible. And so I remember one time in high school, there was a kid at my lunch table. I don't know how to say it because it was like I had a best friend at the time who she would sit with me. And then the other people were classmates, but were we like really we would be loose friends, but I wasn't really close with these people, but I sat with them because of that one girl. And so there was this guy who he was like saying that he wasn't sure, but he might have got his girl pregnant. Like, what should he do? And so I was just like, well, like, if you guys can't take care of the baby, then you should give it up for adoption. Whereas everybody else was like, fine, basically, with abortion. And I was like, I don't think you should do that. And so when I said that, like, it was kind of scary because everyone else thinks something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew, like, no, it's important to say these things. Like, there's literally life at stake. But it came back later on to kind of bite me because I had sat with a different table for a while. And I know this is like high school drama, so it's kind of petty, but like I had sat with a different table for a while just because I had other friends there, but I never had like a clique. Like I was a floater. I was cool with everyone. Like I was just kind to everybody. So like
Yeah.
whatever. So I sat at the other table and then I came back one day and this one girl was like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, why not? Like I just wanted to sit with you guys. And she's like, well, I don't know if everyone's okay with that. And I was like, what? Like I was flabbergasted. Okay. And I was just like, what? And so then as she's like, I mean, I guess it's fine with me, but like you have to ask the others. So literally, as everybody sat down one by one, like this is so stupid. I was like, you okay if I sit here? And they would be like, yeah. Like it was so awkward. And then when everyone was there, the girl kind of like cut to the chase and was just like, oh, well, you're not. And my friend didn't show up. Like, mind you, my friend was absent from all this. So I'm like, where is she?
Mm,
And so then this girl was basically like, well, you're just different than us and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Like, because she was saying, like, I said stuff that offended them. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm really sorry. Like, I didn't know that. But, like, can you give me examples? The only thing they could bring up was that one time where he asked the advice, and I said, no, you shouldn't get an abortion. And she didn't even end up being pregnant, thank goodness. But,
mm,
yeah, so that was the thing they, like, kind of held against me. And like then they all were saying like, yeah, we just feel bad like hanging out and doing stuff without inviting you. And I'm like, so you feel bad about being like rude? Okay. I mean, I didn't say that. I was thinking that. And I'm like, yeah, you should. But anyway, so but this one girl was like, she's like, honestly, you're just a different kind of person than us. And like it hurt to hear that, but I
mm,
knew she was right. Like, yes, I am because the kind of things they were doing, like, no, I don't really want to live my life like that. And so, like, in the moment, it hurt, but like, it was right. And so some people thought I was weird at times. Like I remember the movie, you remember the movie God's Not Dead?
yeah.
So it came out when I was in high school and there was like ads when it was about to come out and this one boy was like, Jenna, you're like the guy from God's Not Dead. And I'm like, I don't know if he meant that as a compliment or an insult, but I'm just gonna say thank you. Um, so like I spoke about my faith and I like even invited some people to my church and a few friends did come and one of them she really enjoyed it. Like I still don't think she's a Christian, but like she had at least a positive experience with like the body of Christ. So that was nice.
Mm, that's awesome. That's so good to hear. Because I know for me during the high school experience, I was also a floater who was kind of like uh I had a lot of acquaintances. I was accepted in different circles just because like
You
the
get
activity.
it.
Yeah, yeah. um, at that time though, I wasn't much of a like I knew what I believed and whatnot, but I wasn't outspoken and definitely I feared rejection, and so I wasn't very bold about
Hmm.
um sharing what I believe. Uh, Also, situations didn't necessarily. Oh, none can come to mind right now anyway, because it's been like what 10 years plus.
You're gonna stop aging us. I know we're old. Bro, not 10 years plus. First of all, you're a year
Ah,
older. So I'm 27, so you graduate when you're 18. So for me, 9 years. You 10 years.
okay, so yeah,
Yeah, it was a
yep,
long
just
time ago. I was just
totally
thinking
dated the
though about how
superlative
I
right there.
yeah, I just thought about how I grew in my faith. And like I could tell you ways I've grown recently, but that was just like when I
Okay,
started taking it really, really seriously was like probably high school.
okay. So
But
how
yeah,
has
so
that
you
evolved
were
since then?
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Whew. So yeah, I feel like I was pretty bold back then. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh wow, like I should be like that again. And I don't think I am timid though. I just think the ways I've done things are different. Because even college,
Hmm.
that was one of my favorite times. I'll be real because you find your people. Like high school is
Mm,
just whoever's there. But in
yeah.
college, you find your niche and like everyone's living there and whatever. And so like intervarsity was really something that I enjoyed. And so even like we would do our evangelism nights, and that was the night that most people skipped. But I was like, guys, this is so important. And so I would go out and like, yeah, it kind of was scary. There was times where people like would switch up on you real fast. Like there was this one guy who we were like, oh, do you have a minute to talk? And he was like, yeah. And he seemed so friendly. And then we started talking about Jesus, and he was like, I've had enough gospel for my life. And he like
Wow.
left in a huff and like but it's not really that they're rejecting us, it's he's rejecting God, which was like even worse. So I just felt bad and like we prayed for the guy. We're like, you never know what will happen. But so yeah, so college was like a great time, but I think after college was really interesting because we were in that little bubble. I mean, yes, UConn is a very liberal school, so it's not really like in a bubble, but like we had our community there that was so nice. But after college, like you really find out the importance of having a community because I had it in high school with my youth group, right? I
Hmm.
had it in college with InterVarsity. Then
Right.
you come back from college, and most of these people who were like in my high school youth group, they're gone now. And so then there's like the other adults, which they're nice and like you kind of know them, but then there's a lot of new people. So you like kind of been away off and on for 4 years. So now the church is very different. And it's like, where do we fit in? Because we don't fit in with the teens. But then there's adult small groups, which is fine. But like a lot of these people are married and have kids. So like, where's my space? Like I can learn from these people for sure, but like, where's the people like me? So me
Hmm.
and my friend Isabella decided to start a young adults group. And we wanted to make it a space not just for our church, but for people in the area, like Christians in the area to come together and also people who were seeking. Like we would have fun events, but also like worship nights and whatever. And so I think I just learned about the importance of being in community as a believer to like
Hmm.
build each other up, but also that you don't just need to be with people your own age because I've been in other Bible studies since then. I was the youngest one in my last Bible study that I've been in for a few years, but now I'm in a different one. But like I have a friend who she's so sweet. This lady has prayed over so many things and she has so much wisdom and she's literally in her 70s. And like she lived near my last job and so sometimes after school, since I'm a teacher, I would drive over and we would have our tea time together and it was really beautiful. And so just appreciating all the people in your church because we truly are one body and like everybody has different skills.
Hmm.
That has been uh blessing to me. Like I think my community is one of my strongest things. But like what are some things that I've struggled with and have been learning? Oh my goodness. Oh, like I think one of my biggest things where I have grown, but is still a struggle to this day is like learning how to guard your heart. The Bible talks about that.
Hmm.
And just like dating in general. Because I think the church teaches a lot about marriage, and that's beautiful. And we should know what marriage looks like because in our society these days, it is rampant with divorce and bad marriages. So that is so important. Like, especially in my life, like, I haven't really had examples. Like, yeah, my parents divorced when I was one, but then they divorced, like, they both remarried other people and they divorced again. So I've seen like three divorces by the time I was 11. Um, so to me, I think that's so important to have that example. However, I don't think they always teach as much about singleness. And if
Hmm.
they do, it's saying like, okay, well, stay pure, don't have sex, keep the marriage bed undefiled. And that is good. Like, yes, we need to know that, but we also need like practical tips too.
Hmm.
Because it's normal. Like people are humans, we have desires and urges, but not just that, but like it's not even just about romantic stuff all the time. It's just like you get lonely. Like I have multiple friends who are now married and I love them and we'll still hang out at times, but it's very different, especially the ones who are having kids. I love kids also, but like their lives have changed and like we can't just do whatever whenever. Like they have a
Right.
different priority now. And so it's like you feel like you're going through life alone, but you're not. Like you have Jesus with you and he is enough. And the Bible talks about like how husbands are their wives coverings and it's like I don't have that, but it's like no, like Jesus is your covering and that is way better. That's more than enough. However, at times like it would be nice to like just have someone to go through life with. And so like for me, where I started and where I am now are different, but I still am learning things because like guarding your heart, like I go back to that verse. It's like, okay, well, how do you do that in a way that you aren't just letting people hurt you, but at the same time, you aren't putting up a wall because like then how will anyone get in? And so I feel like, oof, I've learned certain things about dating. Like, first of all, you need to have non-negotiables and don't stray from it. Mm-mm, no. And you'll weed out certain people real fast. That's good. But then there's other people who I found out are good pretenders. So
Mm,
you have to be very observant. Yes. And honestly, if you care about someone, I think you should, like, again, be prayerful, but then you should do stuff with them in your community. So, like, if you have a, I don't know, young adults group or a small group or whatever, and they're doing an event, like invite them to it. And then I'm not saying that, yeah, you should be dating someone based on others' opinions, but if it's people who've known you for a while and they generally, like, genuinely care about you, and they see like red flags, like take it into consideration. Maybe it's just an area of growth and they're working on it, or maybe it is something you didn't notice and you're like, maybe that is not the best choice for me. So I think for me, in I haven't been in tons of relationships, but in my first few, it wasn't really in community.
mm,
And so I would be dating this person, but only my really closest people would know, and they didn't really meet this person. And well, my first boyfriend, okay, that's crazy, but was long distance. I met him in person when I did something with InterVarsity, not like our church, but I mean,
mm,
not our chapter from UConn, but like InterVarsity, like in Northeast, and we went on this missions trip to the Dominican Republic, and I met a lot of people, and I got their information. We became friends, and so this guy, we were friends for literally 2 years, and we were talking to each other all the time, whatever. And then we started dating. But like his dream was always to come here and be a doctor here because he was in their program.
mm,
And to be honest, like he is here these days. He's not like in Connecticut, but like he came to the U.S., so it worked out, but like long distance was extremely hard, and we found that there were a few other differences that we had. So that was hard. Like, how can you be in community with that? Like, my family knew him because we would video chat, but like, how are these other people gonna really? I don't know.
mm,
But the other people after that, I think it was always subconsciously like I cared about these people and I really did love them, but maybe like there was something that I wasn't sure about. Like, I was like, I'm not sure if this is gonna work. I don't want people to know until I'm sure. And it's like I should have like kind of listened to that red flag, but instead I was like, I wanted to fix people,
mm.
or I thought like maybe I will change my mind because like there's certain things I wouldn't. Like if a man's like, okay, you better have sex with me or else I'm not dating you, like I would be like, okay, goodbye. But then there was other standards that I was willing to compromise on, which was not a good thing. But so yeah, I had some people who I just thought I could like change, which you can't. Only God can change someone. And I do believe people can change, but you have to accept someone how they are. And if you can't, like, then you have to let them go, even if it's painful. So really, the only person that I had in community was a certain guy that I dated like a year ago, and I really cared about him. He was kind of long distance because he was from New York, so it wasn't right near here. But I thought, like, no, it's important, and I was really sure about him. Like, it felt different than the other relationships. So he got to know like my friends, because I had this birthday party, and he was there, of course. He came to my church multiple times. Um, he met my family. It's a funny story actually how I knew him was sort of through my mom. Like she didn't like directly set us up, but like she mentioned this guy because I'm like, how do you know people I don't know? Like she really doesn't go out. But like she kind of knew this guy and offhandedly said you would be good with him. And I'm like, who is that? And then I found him online and I DM'd him and whatever. But anyway, yeah, I know it's
That's
a
a whole
crazy
nother can of
story.
worms.
It's
Oh.
crazy. But basically, with that one, even my dad knew him. And that for me is really big because my dad, he's not a Christian. So if he didn't approve of something, it's not like it would change my mind. But it's like I never show anyone to my dad because, like, I don't know, that's just awkward to me. And so I was like really sure of that guy. And so I think how I worked in that situation was better because people were able to see him. And the thing was, like, it still didn't work out. And so I was worried, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so embarrassing now. Like I thought this was
Mhm.
the one, and now everybody knows, and now I have to tell everybody. Like because basically what had happened was, um, I thought we were dating with the intention toward marriage, because I don't think you should date to waste time. I'm not saying get married in 2 months or something, but like that's what you're working towards.
Yeah.
Um, and the guy was saying all that, and he was treating me way better than anyone else had, and I thought we clicked on so many things. But then he revealed basically like, no, he's not ready for that. That he kind of like had led me on. And so he didn't want to keep dating me because what if he wasn't ready for marriage ever? Because I'm like, I'm not about to date somebody for 10 years, 5 years even. Like 2 years, okay, but I don't know. Like I'm not trying to rush people, but at the same time, like I know what I'm ready
Yeah.
for. Like that's crazy. So yeah, so that really hurt me, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. Like I thought, oh my gosh, now this is so embarrassing. I look like a fool. But like the people were really kind, and so I think it's worth the risk to let people in.
Mm.
Um, Truly. Like we even had talked to my pastor, and so I really felt like an idiot when I we first broke up because we both came from broken homes. So we literally went to my pastor and we're like, "Hey, do you have any advice for us while dating? Because we want to do this the right way. We want this to go towards marriage." So if you are serious about someone, I would say, yeah, talk to spiritual leaders because they can help you. And I know it might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but like they have a lot of wisdom. And so like the stuff he said was really helpful, but it it just didn't it wasn't necessary, I guess, because he wasn't truly ready for any of that
Mm.
anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's just like hard because you can do everything quote unquote the right way and it still doesn't work out. But like I had a friend who she was really hard on me with several relationships that I was in. And she was basically like, no, you're crying right now. But like, okay, so later on she did comfort me, but she was like, you're crying right now, but you should be celebrating.
Mm.
Like if God closed a door, then like you should be celebrating because it was not meant for you and he has something better in store and you don't know what that could have done to your life. And
Yeah.
I think that's important in any circumstance. Like I've had several doors shut with jobs and that really devastated me because I was like, but God, I was trying my best. And it's like, no, like it's okay because he has something for you. If this is not it, then staying there will kill you. Like, so I
Mm.
think anytime he shuts the door, even with friendships, like when I love people, it's not just romantically, I love hard. And so losing a friend who you thought was close can be painful, but it's like he prunes those who like abide in him. We're supposed to be like, um, he's the vine, we are the branches. And so if he wants us to grow, he's going to cut off things that are dying on us. And
Mm.
so we have to be willing to be cut by the Lord and we have to be willing to, I don't know, just be obedient during the wait. Because I read the story of the prodigal son, and I don't know, I don't want to be self righteous like the Pharisees, but I feel like in that story, I don't often relate to the prodigal son. Who I relate to is the older brother. But that's really bad too, because the older brother, he was like, self-righteous and stuff and like father like that's not fair you threw this party for this guy but I was always doing what you were telling me to do what I was supposed to do but you never did any of this for me but he's like literally everything I have is yours like you could have accessed this and so it's like even though in a season of waiting we might feel like we have lack it's like no like if you have the father you have everything you need and like I don't know. Sorry, that was a long tangent, but
No, I mean, you're great. You're great. I think for context, what she's talking about, the prodigal son. If you don't know that
mm,
story,
mm,
um, is in Luke chapter 15, starting at verse 11, and just yeah, 11 to the end. I'm not going to read all of it, but summarizing the story, Jesus talks about the um, there being a father with two sons. And one of the sons, the younger son, he was like, "Father, I want all my inheritance." And so the father was like, all right. He gives him the money. The young man takes the money, goes off into a far country, squanders it, ends up working for some people, and as like a, what was it? He worked in a farm, or like feeding pigs, and
Yes,
like,
and he was jealous of the food that even the pigs had because he didn't have that.
yeah, and so like he came to a senses. He's like, I had it pretty good at my father's house, you know. so, um, so he decides that he's gonna go and repent and just like say, Father, I've sinned against you. Make me be one of your servants, and I'll be good. So when he decides to come back, and when he's on his way back, his father sees him afar off, and he runs up to him, and he kisses him. He gives him a ring, he gives him a new clothes, and he asks his servants to, go kill a calf. Let's throw a party because my son, who was dead, he's back. And so,
Hmm.
um, the when he comes back, the older brother that Jenna mentioned, he was like, "Bruh, why are you doing this for him? Like, you don't do this for me."
Hmm.
And the father was like, um, he was like, "You, like, everything that I have is yours." Like he said,
Hmm.
so like, you're always with me, and all that I have is yours. Um, So it's right to be merry and be glad. And it's crazy. It's not crazy, but it's crazy because I the fact that we're touching on this story. Um, Personally, I guess I just came out of a prodigal arc, if you would call it that.
Oh, okay. Tell me
Um,
more.
where I was the younger brother. uh, I'm I just had this. So I came out of school for a while, and I've been kind of just jobless, and kind of just doing what I can to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But my parents, they've been just like, prodding me like, hey, you should probably go back to school, or because obviously the first stuff didn't work, so like, don't give up, just try something new. And like, I've been of the mindset like, nah, one, I don't want to get loans because like, who likes loans? But two, just seeing how the things, like, going to school, learning the thing, having no experience actually doing it, but then coming back into the job market and understand and learn, and trying to sell yourself and say, hey, um, I know this thing. I don't have an experience about it, but like, I can do this. And then the job's like, oh, we need someone who's got experience doing this. So it's like a cycle that I just didn't want to repeat. But
Hmm.
um, I finally came around to the idea of, all right, maybe school isn't such a bad idea. But then it came to a matter of like, all right, what school do I choose? And
Mm.
my parents, they had recommended me going for like a certificate program that's quick, and would more than likely land me a job. And
Like a technical school or something?
along those lines, it's like in machinist, or like it's like
Yeah, people
manufacturing.
don't have people don't have practical skills these days, so honestly, that's needed.
Yeah, but I've been all because I've always had business as a like that's been the
Hmm.
dream of doing it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back for my MBA, and my parents were like,
Okay.
um, and so there was just like this battle of like whether or not um the MBA or the machinist program, and so at one point, I mean, all along this time, nothing has actually like transpired. Like all the stuff that I've been doing have been very much long term, and there's nothing, that is working for me in the near
Mm.
term because I still have bills to pay and whatnot. And so like,
Yeah.
it came to a point where my dad sat me down. He was like, "Bro, you're not really doing anything here, and like you're kind of taking our grace for granted." And I don't know. I just got fed up and was like, you know what? I can do this on my own. So I
Oof.
tried. I tried leaving, and
Hmm.
it wasn't fun. And I was like the younger brother. I was like, yeah, I had it pretty good at home.
So you went back?
So I went back.
Mm.
Um, and during that time, it was just like I don't know. I definitely felt like the product, like the story came to mind. I was like, bruh, what are you trying to share with me here? But and I think it's
Yeah.
pretty ties pretty well with the start of this, where like the whole bridge, right? Like Jesus being the bridge.
Hmm.
Like if it weren't for you know Jesus and His Holy Spirit and just like giving me that what's it called? You know, he also put some because I after I made the decision, I asked someone who's more like he's essentially my discipling me in like the evangelism stuff.
Hmm.
And I was like, did I make the right decision? And he was like, nah, you should go
So you
back.
didn't consult Jesus before you made it. You're like, okay,
I mean,
Lord,
I
bless this
did.
decision. Oh, okay.
Because like I've been getting, it
No, I
wasn't
know it's hard.
because like I know that he's been showing me like where I will be. I guess, like the vision of like the end goal. And I'm like, all right, I'm trying to
Hmm.
get there,
But
but I've
what's
been
the
trying to get
process?
there.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, skipping the process, right? Um, and so that's thankfully he's placed people in my life who like give me the truth and it's like, hey, you're not looking at this the right way. And especially my parents, like they've also been, he places your parents in your life to guide you in the way that you're supposed to go, right? Um, Generally, that's assuming that they're, Christian and whatnot. But that's a
Hmm.
caveat. And so, the word says to obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right, right? Um,
Yeah, key phrase in the Lord, because you're right. There are some parents who will ask you to do some ratchet things, and it's like, heck no. So you got to keep your morals and principles. And as adults, yes, you can honor your parents, but that doesn't mean exactly living life exactly how they have written step by step for you, but more like, I don't know, caring for them, not being disrespectful, and like, I don't know, taking what they say into consideration. But yes, I understand. Like, your parents are very kind and they were trying to look out for you. But yeah, it and there's long suffering in the wait. I've learned that too. Like in the waiting times in our life, like it isn't always easy. We read the Bible and we read over like centuries or decades within a few verses. So it's like, oh, this awful thing happened, but whew, look how God came through.
mhm.
But we're not there through the years and years that they were literally waiting upon the Lord. And so when we experience it in our own lives, like you with like wanting all these dreams with business and other stuff to come true, it's not saying that God said no, but like the process isn't easy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Man, that's good. I'm trying to find a way to tie this all in. um,
Wrap it up with a little bow. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Wouldn't that be masterful? Okay, so back to you. We were talking about how you grow in community, or no, how you grew in your identity and your walk with Christ, and you have highlighted the fact that community is very important. You've highlighted
Facts.
some ways to uh, do, 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 do. Oh yeah, you said hi. You highlight the community. You highlight what you've been struggling with regarding your heart. Um,
Mhm.
oh, we talked about relationships, which I didn't even know we were gonna get into that. But
I
We might
mean,
have to
gotta
have
give
a.
them something spicy to like look forward to. That's good.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. We might have to have like an episode two for this one, or maybe
Oh,
like a
yeah,
round table,
definitely.
because like there's so much to
Listen,
you know
there's a lot on that. Yep.
cover. Yeah. Um. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to share with us and our viewers, listeners? I
Hmm.
forget.
One of my favorite verses, y'all, if you've been in the church for a while, you're going to be like, that's a cliche, but I want you to actually hear it this time, not just listen, hear it. Because even though I've had struggles, this verse always is the thing that rings true. Proverbs 3, 5 through 7. Usually people only quote 5 through 6, but it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear
Mm,
the Lord and shun evil. That verse, like that section, they were spitting straight bars because, ooh, let's break it down. Trust in
mm,
the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. Pause. Okay. Sometimes when things are uncertain, it is hard to trust God because you don't know where He's going with this. But who else better to trust an unknown future with than a known God who has proven His goodness, His kindness, His faithfulness time and time again? Okay. And lean not on your own understanding. Oh my goodness. We can go through things and we can learn things and of course apply what you've learned. But like our wisdom compared to God's, it pales in comparison. So don't think that you know better because every single time you will be wrong. So sometimes that looks like waiting for an answer, and who knows how long you're gonna have to wait. That's my problem is patience. And let me tell you
mm,
guys, it's a very dangerous prayer to ask God to give you patience because I did that when I worked at a camp in 2019. And let's see, he has surely been answering that. I don't think it's something that's going to be answered overnight. Like, I've grown tremendously in patience, but I feel like I'm always going to be. But how does he grow patience? By giving you trials where you have to be patient in them. So, if you want to pray that, you can at your risk. But no, it's worth it, at your own risk, yes, but it's worth it. But so yeah, do not lean on your own understanding, and that might include some waiting to hear what he has to say. And you could talk to people in your community, but never confuse community with God. Like there could be godly people in your lives that you consult, but they are not Jesus Christ, okay? So their wisdom is valuable, but you always like that's something I've been teaching myself too. Like I find comfort in my friends, in my family, but it's like our deepest comfort needs to come from the Lord because people will always disappoint us.
mm,
And so instead of just like calling my friends, like, can you pray with me? Yes, do that. But like, I need to pray first by myself, and
mm,
then like we could do all that. Okay, so second part of the verse. Okay, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. So, not just some ways, because I feel like, especially if you were raised in the church, you do all the, you might do a lot of the basic stuff, quote unquote, the right way, following the word. But it's like even little things, like we have to be asking God, okay, is this where you want me? Because sometimes we could do a good thing, but it's not necessarily where he wants us.
mm,
And little things can become idols in our lives if we leave it unchecked. Like, check what's consuming your time. For a lot of us, like, it could be our phones, social media. Like, we might have to place limits on that because really, is that the most important thing in our lives? No. Or check how things are affecting you. I used to watch this show. I forget what it is. It's like, hold on. It was like, because I like reality TV. It's so bad, but I forget what it's called. Like, but it's basically there's a bunch of couples in this house, but like they have perfect matches, but they don't know who it is, and they need to figure. out who it is. And I love that show because I was like trying to figure out the puzzle and like, no, what's wrong with these people? Like, they're definitely not a match. And it was entertaining. But I had to stop watching that show because, like, I realized, like, even though I'm not going out and acting crazy like them, like, it could make me lustful. Like, this show was like full of sex and like crazy things. And I'm just like, yeah, this is not helping my heart. So in all your ways, submit to him. Not just the obvious ones, like you're not going to steal or cheat or whatever. Um, and then, and he will make all your paths straight. So think of it like you have a ball of yarn and it's all tangled up. And you could be trying for hours to untangle that thing, but that's not working. That's kind of like our lives when we try to take control. Whereas Jesus in a moment could just like pull that string straight again, like, oh, here's the direct path. Like we will try to get from point A to B, like you want to do all this business stuff, and you think, oh, this is the easiest path. But instead, it turns out to be like going through a corn maze. Whereas Jesus is like, you could have taken this street. Yes, it's out of the way. It's a beaten path, but it would have taken you there like directly. So that's what I kind of envision with that part of the verse. So it's all connected. Okay, and he will make your path straight. Um, do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Oof. Yes, that is the part that gets me because we want to be wise in the sense that we're using discernment, but that discernment has to be based on God and His Word. Yes, there are things we can learn in life from experiences that we can apply to the future, but that wisdom isn't always right. Like everything's situational. And so we can think something is a great decision. It could look great on paper, but it's not smart. For example, I just read something the other day. It's like, you know, the original Lion King, they
Hmm.
wanted a guy to sing as like Simba, and I guess he was 15 at the time, if what I read was correct. But Disney literally offered him, um, how much was it? Uh, I don't know if it was 2 million. Yeah, $2 million. They offered him $2 million to do that, to sing as Simba. And he grew up in like Chicago. That
Hmm.
would have been life changing. But his mother knew better. She was like, because they were just going to give him $2 million, no residuals, nothing. And she negotiated. She turned that down. And instead, they got 100,000 up front, which I'm sure helped with a lot of things, but it's not going to last forever, you know?
Yeah.
But then she got him to get residuals. So this man has been getting checks ever since because, you know, they make all sorts of Lion King things now
Yeah.
and merch and sequels. And so this man got way over 2 million. So sometimes we could do something that we think is smart, like a $2 million contract for somebody who grew up in Chicago and didn't have much. Like that could be life altering. And we think, oh, yes, this is so smart. We should do it, but it's like, no, we don't see like the long term. And so we got to trust God in that. And fear the Lord and shun evil. When I hear fear the Lord, some people are like, oh my goodness, like I have to be scared of him, like quaking, like, no, I think it's like respecting him and yeah, having a healthy fear. Like he is God. Like I think back to Job where he goes, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? That always humbles me. Like, how dare I think I like know best?
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I think that verse, living by it, is not always the simplest thing to do, but if you do, like, that's the best thing you could do for yourself. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's my closing thoughts.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. Thank you, Jenna. Where can
You're welcome.
people find you, or do you want people to contact you? Ask you more
Oh
questions?
my goodness. Oh, I feel like a celebrity now. I
Say it.
mean, sure. Yeah, they can. Yeah, I'll have Instagram. So at Jenna Carvelis, that's a hard last name. So Karvelis if you want. I don't really post stuff that much, but you
Okay.
know, the DMs
Okay.
are there.
Be respectful, please.
Oh,
But
yes. We talked about guarding your heart. Don't come in with anything crazy. You will be blocked.
all right. Well, thank you for your time, Jenna. And yeah, I'll leave some, for the listeners, I'll leave links to the stuff that we talked about below. But yeah, yeah, I'm gonna end that there.
Perfect.